Hello everyone, happy Thursday. How's everyone doing today? May your week be going well. I know we all handle our days differently, so may it be well for you. Today I wanted to talk about a topic that I actually made so many different videos of, but for whatever reason I just did not feel that pull to share, right? A lot of times with my videos, I only like to share videos that truly have a deeper meaning than just me explaining the surface, if that makes sense. So it's been I kind of been just chilling and letting messages come into me this time, instead of trying to like not force it, but just trying to find something to talk about. I'd rather just let it come naturally. And so I had actually made, like I said, I was making videos on this matter, and I just never got the chance to share. And now that I'm getting to it, it just makes sense. Everything's aligned. And so for the month of June, for those of you that don't know, part of my movement is to also bring into awareness each month different topics that impact and add to our traumas, right? Especially as a woman. And so for the month of June is actually PTSD month, awareness month. So post-traumatic stress disorder awareness month. And I wanted to talk about the topic of darkness, that there is darkness in healing. And with that said, I wanted to, at first I was iffy with titling it such way because it sounds so dark, like, ooh, like, whoa, like I don't even want to go there. But it's not even about that. It's not even about, I'm not even trying to get deep. I'm just trying to bring awareness in the fact that we live in a current societal state where healing has become trendy, right? Where, being woke has become the thing, right? Self-care has turned into bubble baths and a day out shopping, or a once in a while massage, right? And even though that is part of self-care, don't get me wrong, I love it. It's not what truly brings us to heal, right? Those are add-ons. They're great to have, but they're not actions that are actually gonna help you heal your trauma, if that makes sense, right? And so I wanted to bring awareness in the fact that with healing, yes, the beautiful thing about healing is that we end up becoming versions of ourselves that we never expected to become, right? Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, for the better, for the worse, we end up evolving into a person with experience at the end of the day. And that is the beautiful part of healing. However, not many people talk about the darkness in it, the nitty gritty, the yucky stuff, the stuff that literally everyone hides, including myself, right? I come here and try to empower you guys or motivate you guys from my own experiences, but I'm not always, or the majority of the time, I'm not sharing how shitty those moments of darkness are, right? And so I wanted to just, be realistic. There are days that I don't feel like doing anything. There are days that I'm forcing myself to do something just to show up for you guys. But then it's those constant battles where I'm like, okay, I'm getting my message across, but at the same time, I'm not even believing half of the stuff that I'm saying. So this is where I have to be very careful, because if I go into the rabbit hole of overthinking, that's where I start leading to darkness. I start doubting myself. Imposter syndrome comes in. My anxiety raises through the roof. I self-isolate. I tend to start holding in more emotions just to come off as cool, calm, cool, and collective, right? And then eventually I can no longer sustain that because it's not healthy, that I end up falling into that pit of darkness. And so when that happens, I tend to actually question myself as to, should I share that part of me with you guys, right? Because a lot of the times, yes, my movement is about vulnerability, but sometimes even I'm scared to do that, right? Like, it took me years to reclaim my voice, and being even able to even think about sharing my darkness with you guys, it's a really big deal. And me sharing my darkness is not to scare anyone. Like I said to my loved ones, like because I have loved ones who watch me, so I always like to start my videos with saying, don't feel concerned, right? Yeah, thank you for feeling worried for me, because you love me. I know you love me, but I'm not making these videos as a sign for help, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not crying for help. Like, this is just a way that I feel that needs to be shown more exposure of, right? Like, it's good to have people that we follow through social media that guides us to becoming better people, suggesting things to do to increase our healing or move forward with our healing. But I'm here to talk about what we are scared to talk about, right? I am here to talk about the things that happened prior to looking for ways to heal, right? And so with PTSD Awareness Month, I wanted to bring awareness into the darkness, that it's not easy. Like, just because you survived an event, a traumatic event, does not mean that you won't be impacted severely your entire life, because that is trauma. It cannot, I mean, I'm not a professional, right? But I believe that it is not something that you can just erase overnight, at least, right? I don't think it's something that, I think our traumatic experiences allow for so much healing collectively, but for the person who's living through that traumatic experience, you're constantly dying metaphorically, over and over and over and over again, because you're shedding all this trauma to find yourself, to find out who you truly are. And that process can be very taxing on the mind, body, and soul. And with those who have PTSD, and whether they're diagnosed or undiagnosed, it's a big deal. Like, it's sad to see that there's many of us that have this condition, and have complex trauma, because just because you have one traumatic experience does not mean there's different levels to that trauma that can affect you in so many ways that you may not even be conscious of, right? And so adding trauma, mental health, mental illnesses, mental disorders, or external environmental factors to your life can lead to PTSD, right? And even though we may not all react the same way or have the same level of severity with these illnesses and disorders, doesn't mean that we don't all go through a certain level of darkness or stages of darkness, or up and down, where, one day we're good, the other day we feel shitty, and that's just the truth. So I'm just here to basically tell you that it's okay to feel shitty, right? I'm not gonna be here and tell you, well, I am, but I'm not just going to tell you it's going to be okay. I'm going to tell you, cry it out. You need to cry. You need to scream. You need to punch a wall if you have to, do it, It's not about me leading you to violence or to a violent nature, but we're holding in all this suffering that is, rather than have it come out in a way that can actually cause harm to yourself or to others. It's just better to let it out in a way that is still effective, and it still creates change, and you're not suppressing what it is that you need to let out, which is your emotions, it is your feelings, it is all that suffering that you've just learned to accumulate throughout the years. And it's because we don't let those out often that we end up going back to darkness, right? We end up going down to that rabbit hole again. And so, yeah, I wanted to clarify that there's a very big difference with mental health and mental illness. Mental health is the overall healthy balance, maintenance of your mind, body, and soul, right? Overall mindset, your mind, because we're talking about mental health, but mental health has so many spectrums, has so many different directions to go. There's no one set way to describe what mental health truly is, right? But for my approach, I see it more as a holistic approach, where it's not just the mind, it's also the body, it's also the spirit, and whereas mental health and whereas mental illnesses and disorders is part of that person's life, everyday life, again, it doesn't matter if it's a low severity of that illness or disorder, or if it's the highest, they both still matter. They both go through their individual experiences where even though one has a higher level severity level, does not mean that the person who has a lower severity level with that illness is not going to feel the same suffering or level of suffering as the one who has a higher one, because you don't know. My pain tolerance is totally different from yours and vice versa. So just because we have different levels of it doesn't mean that we don't go through those darkness, those dark times. And that doesn't mean that we can't speak about it more, right? And so, with that being said, I just, again, mental health is not something that's going to go away. Mental health is not something that should go away. If anything, something that we should be advocating more about, should be requesting more resources. We should be, doing more trial and error in terms of what works for the individual, because I feel like a lot of the troubles we have right now is that we're still trying to categorize the majority into a category that not every single person in it may fit. Not one size fits all, and a lot of things a lot of factors come into place. Environmental factors, the people in your life who you surround yourself with, economic factors, societal factors, social status, immigration status, your sex, your gender, anything, right? There's so many factors that can impact you, that can lead you, that can add to the way you go through darkness, that we need to start expressing how much individualized care in the mental health field we need, like we truly need. And I know that's hard. I know that's not something that's going to happen overnight. I know that at least, I could probably be being biased, but I feel like my generation is the generation that's finally starting to speak up. So I'm not expecting to have results overnight, right? But the one way to start creating change is by raising awareness, is by creating visibility, is by not hiding how we truly feel. It's about, saying, hey, right now I look scary. Right now I am scared. Right now I need help. Right now I don't actually want any help. Right now I just need to be alone. Right now I'm angry. Like, we need to be able to feel okay saying these things without automatically receiving a response where you need professional help, or you must be crazy, or it's all in your head, or you may need to go to a psychiatric hospital, and it's nothing wrong with asking for professional help. Like, that's not what I'm trying to say here. It's just that I feel like the person who receives how we feel, like the true darkness and how we feel and how we show up in our like our shadow self, right? The dark part of us. I feel like so often we scare the person receiving such energy or such a voice, that it makes them want to just automatically put you in a category that you may not necessarily need to be in, right? You may just need to have a listening ear without automatically jumping into therapy. You may just need that tap on the back to remind you that everything's gonna be okay. Or you simply may need to be alone, right? To truly know what it feels like to be alone, to truly know what it feels like to know yourself, right? And so that's also part of my message, where our voice does matter, right? Especially when we are in that dark zone. That's when we truly know what we truly are made of, right? Because it's not the first time we've been here. That's what I'm trying to get at, that it's not the first time we meet darkness. And so therefore it shouldn't scare us, but it should start concerning us in a way that allows us to create change for the better of us. And with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. Please let me know your thoughts. I appreciate it. Again, this is all about just creating visibility, making sure that every woman out there is being heard and every person out there is being heard, because mental health is for all and we all have a voice in it. Have a beautiful, beautiful day.